And there appeared a great wonder in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun, and the moon under her feet, and upon her head a crown of 12 stars. And she, being with child, cried, travailing in birth, and pain to be delivered. And there appeared another wonder in heaven, and behold, a great red dragon, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and 7 crowns upon his heads. And his tail drew the 3rd part of the stars of heaven, and did cast them to the earth. And the dragon stood before the woman which was ready to be delivered, for to devour her child as soon as it was born. And she brought forth a man-child, who was to rule all nations with a rod of iron. And her child was caught up unto God, and to his throne. And the woman fled into the wilderness, where she hath a place prepared of God, that they should feed her there 1,260 days. And there was war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon fought and his angels, and prevailed not. Neither was their place found any more in heaven. And the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil and Satan, which deceiveth the whole world. He was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him. And I heard a loud voice saying in heaven, Now is come salvation and strength, and the kingdom of our God, and the power of his Mashiach, for the accuser of our brethren is cast down, which accused them before our God day and night. And they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb, and by the word of their testimony, and they loved not their lives unto the death. Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time.
You see Obama and Trump all but confirming aliens exist? No, I didn't see this.
Are aliens real?
They're real, but I haven't seen them, and they're not being kept in, what is it?
Area 51?
Area 51. There's no underground facility.
What was the first question you wanted answered when you became president?
Where are the aliens?
Where are the aliens?
That was it. And so then obviously
Barack Obama said that aliens are real. Have you seen any evidence of non-human visitors to Earth?
Well, he gave classified information. He's not supposed to be doing that.
he gave classified information. He's not supposed to be doing that.
You know,
So aliens are real.
well, I don't know if they're real or not. I can tell you,
I don't know if they're real or not, and he's smiling.
he gave classified information. He's not supposed to be doing that. He made a big mistake. He took it out of classified information. No, I don't have an opinion on it. I never talk about it.
I don't have an opinion on it. I never talk about it. I think there's a chance that there's aliens. Like, bro, we went from the Epstein files to the X files real quick.
The president can declassify anything that he wants to, so
Well,
if you
maybe I'll
want to
get
make
him
an
out of trouble.
announcement.
I may get him out of trouble by declassifying.
We know illegal aliens are real.
Yeah, illegal. Only illegals. What else? Well, he gave classified information. He's not supposed to be doing that.
Aliens, will they confirm aliens if it... Ooh, it's starting to go up a little bit, right? Now, like, would I put money on this one? Let's say Trump gets exposed for something really bad, then maybe he'll bring up aliens, right? But he's probably saving it for that situation.
Wait a moment. Based on the tremendous interest shown, I will be directing the Secretary of War and other relevant departments and agencies to begin the process of identifying and releasing government files related to alien and extraterrestrial life, unidentified aerial phenomena UAP, and unidentified flying objects UFOs, and any and all other information connected to these highly complex but extremely interesting and important matters. God bless America.
And Obama was trolling? Sure he was, and Trump was trolling. They're all trolling. You want to know, like, my opinion on aliens? statistically. How big is the universe? It's really big. So, like, what do you think the probability is that there's aliens? Like, I think that's like 99.999%. Now, have we seen them? Have we seen aliens? I think that they have probably discerned at least that there is something that they have a high probability that they think was, made by intelligent design. That's what I think it could be.
Barakatha Yahweh, Barakatha Yahweh Shai, Barakatha Yahweh, Barakatha Yahweh Shai, Barakatha Yahweh, Barakatha Yahweh Shai, Barakatha Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Ba Recha HaKodash, Kol Thapa Arath, Hawad Wahaloyim, Ratwatham Yatla, Allah Hayanawa, Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Ba Recha HaKodash. And what I just said in the Lashon Kodash being the ancient Paleo-Hebrew, or in other words, the true biblical Hebrew for holy tongue or language. And what I just said is, all glory, honor, and praises abundantly and continuously to our power, Yahweh, the true name of our Heavenly Father, who the world ignorantly and incorrectly calls God, in the name of his only begotten Son, our Savior, our Messiah, our Deliverer, Yahweh Shai, HaMashiach, who the world ignorantly and incorrectly calls Jesus Christ, in, or in other words, through the Holy Spirit. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Much peace, love, and respect to the brothers teaching and pushing this truth out the four corners of the earth. To the hopeful elect, the 144,000 and the 1/3, as well as the rest of the elect, scattered abroad amongst the heathen nations to the four corners of the earth, east, north, south, and west. To you I say, Shalom. This is your brother Ra'aib Tazadakwa coming back at you again, all through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai, with another lesson. Yahweh Ratazah, Yahweh willing, is going to be edifying and encouraging for you Achim, brothers, and any Achwath, sisters, that may be listening and or watching. The first thing I'm going to say is that this is part, if I'm not mistaken, part 19 in an ongoing lesson series entitled End Time Biblical Prophecies and the End of the World. And really, that's just the second half of the title, because the first portion of the title is on the thumbnail. We interrupt this program due to End Time Biblical Prophecies and the End of the World. And the program that's being interrupted is normal life, normal events as the world turns. Okay, your normal life, your normal daily activities. Okay, normal on the most individual level and individual scale, and normal all the way up on a worldwide scale. It's all being interrupted, and it's all going to be done away with and destroyed in accordance with 1 Peter 4:7. All right, let me show you that real quick. And because that's why these things are happening, that's why these things are being done. Okay, let me dim the screen a little bit. Dim the screen a little bit, it's a little bright. But you go to 1 Peter 4:7, and I encourage you to check out the other parts, because this is really all one big lesson, right? So you may be listening to this lesson and you may hear something that doesn't quite make sense to you. You don't really understand that. You don't think it's right. But the piece of the puzzle, so to speak, that you needed for it to fit and make sense to you, for you to be able to unlock your understanding or make it so that you can put it all together and see what's being presented, may have been in one of the other parts. And I'll tell you, it almost certainly was. But the end, and that's why it's important to check out the other parts if you're hearing this for the first time, or if it sounds like it isn't on point to you. You need to really search the matter out in accordance with 1 Thessalonians 5:21. Okay, what's it say over there? 1 Thessalonians 5:21. We'll go there next. But the end of all things pertaining to this system, pertaining to this world, this age, this kingdom. Okay, not world in the earth sense, but pertaining to the world in the sense of this kingdom, this worldwide system. Okay, the world with regards to this worldwide system that's in operation right now. That's what it's talking about when it says the end of all things. The all is not absolute. The all is limited to the context of talking about all things pertaining to this current world system. The end of all those things is at hand. Be ye therefore sober and watch unto prayer. Right? And this is manifest. And so just to complete that thought I was saying earlier, 1 Thessalonians 5:21, and it reads, prove. That's the word I couldn't remember. Prove, which means to scrutinize, test, and examine. I kept wanting to use one of the words that it means, and I knew that wasn't what it said because it wasn't sounding right, but I was wanting to use one of the words. I was wanting to say scrutinize all things, right? But that's what the prove means. It means to examine, to test, scrutinize. So this is a very, very meticulous, careful examination. This is nothing casual. I said careful, not casual. Okay, prove all things. And once you do that, then you can hold fast to that, which is good, because you're not going to know what's good without first examining it, testing it, scrutinizing it. Okay, this is nothing casual. This is very careful and meticulous and deliberate. Okay, and so I mean, if you're hearing this for the first time, you're going to have to check out more parts. Okay, I can't put everything in every part. All right, so if that's you, check out the previous parts, because we've gone a lot of places and got a lot of things and brought out a lot of doctrines and truth. Okay, doctrines which are all one doctrine, because it's just different topics of the same doctrine. It's only one truth, one faith, one baptism, one truth, right? And within that truth, you got a bunch of different topics, and so we refer to those topics as doctrines, but it's all just really one doctrine. Okay, so different like subjects within the same class, so to speak, right? You have a class, but then you have the one class, but then in that one class you'll have multiple different topics and subjects and topics and categories or whatnot. You understand what I'm saying? All right, so let's get back on track here, because Yahweh Razah will make some progress in that Genesis today, because we're in Genesis right now. We're trying to get through Genesis to Habakkuk, the 2nd chapter, to Revelation 13. That's when we're done with this lesson series. We're ending in Revelation 13. So I opened up with this clip here, and that's the reason why. Oh, let me say, so this is part 18. Here's the lesson series right here. You probably won't need any help finding it, because the thumbnail and the title are all the same. You know, the majority of the lesson series is down here. I took a break to work on this one here. This lesson series here, America, the most hypocritical nation ever, right? And we were on that for a while. And did I have one of those over here? Yes, one of those. The most recent live stream was part of that lesson series as well. But if you go back before that one, we were working on this one, End Time Biblical Prophecies and the End of the World. You can see we were on that for a while, and that's the first part, right? No, that's part 4. The first 3 parts were lives, so you'll find them here, and then you'll also find part 8 here as well, and 14 as well. Okay, so several lives over here. So that's how you can get the whole lesson series, or whatever parts you need to get. But we're in part 19 tonight, because 17's up. I still haven't uploaded 18 yet. This must be part 19. So this is part 19 tonight, and we're going to go ahead and get into it. Yahweh Razah is going to be edifying, right? So I opened up with this here because this is just more of the same. End Time Biblical Prophecies. This right here is all a psyop. Okay, now when I say that, that's not to mean that they're not really concerned about what they would refer to as aliens or UFOs and UAPs. They are, and that's why we got the Revelation 12. I'm going to go ahead and play this from the beginning and give you some commentary.
You see Obama and Trump all but confirming aliens exist?
Let me get a fair use disclaimer. Fair use is allowed under U.S. law for educational commentary, criticism purposes, and the like. That's, of course, what we're using this clip for. Not profiting from it in any way, shape, fashion, or form. I'm going to go ahead and give credit to the originator of the material right now, which he's using various clips as well. People are freaking out now. ... Right? And Asmongold Clips is the YouTube page, and you see he's got a fairly decently large size page, 1.68 million, starting to approach 2 million subscribers. And this video here, after being up only 19 hours, not even a day yet, has 1.14 1.14 million views. Okay, so this information about quote unquote aliens being real, all right, is going mainstream. Okay, and they've been slowly, they had this on a slow trickle now for a few years, a number of years. They've had this on a slow trickle because they know something major like this they can't just let out all at once. So they've been conditioning the population more and more, bit by bit by bit, over a number of years. And because they're getting ready to come out with the full disclosure, and they've been doing a soft disclosure, all right, for years now, bit by bit by bit, legitimizing it a little more, putting it in front of the people's eyes and in their ears, a little bit more legitimacy to it, talking about it on Capitol Hill, talking about it, in various different platforms that are popular and well regarded by the masses. That's all getting the people ready bit by bit by bit by bit. Now they're getting ready. They're almost done with that, and they're about ready to come out with the full disclosure. Full. You can't say full because they ain't telling you the truth. They're gonna be telling you part truth and a lot of lie, right? But they getting ready to come out with the hard information to say, look, flat out, aliens are real, and they're here and they're attacking us. They're here and they're hostile, and we got to defend them. We got to defend against them. Something along those lines. Don't know exactly what their lie is going to be. Okay, and that's the reason why they have the Space Force, and that's the reason why they have a UFO UAP task force as part of the Department of Defense. Okay, any other reason why they say they have the I think it's the 6th branch of the and that's a spiritual number for them because they have a connection to that number 6. Okay, they have a connection to that number 6 tied into Revelation 13, 600, 6, right? So it's the 6th branch. Whatever reason they tell you why they got that, whatever reason they tell you why they had the UFO UAP task force, whatever reason why they tell you why they're doing all these things up in space with satellites and whatnot, it's all a cover and a lie for what they're really doing. And what they're really doing is preparing to fight Yahweh Shah HaMashiach and the angelic hosts when they return very shortly. And when they return very shortly, Yahweh Shah is coming back to this earth, and he's promised to not meet Esau Edom as a man. He's going to cry like a woman in travail, he's going to cry like a travailing woman, and he's coming to wage war in righteousness. Revelation the 19th chapter. We got that, I think, in part 18. Okay. I can't remember what part we read that in, but one of the parts we got that. He's coming to wage war, and they're going to meet him ready to wage war as well, and they're going to be absolutely crushed and absolutely defeated. Okay? They know that. They don't know that they're going to lose, but they know he's coming back, and they're getting ready to wage war on them. This is the reason why they have the Space Force. This is the reason why they have the UFO UAP task force. This is the reason why they're weaponizing space. Okay? They're telling you, well, we're doing it up here so you can have you can have 4 bars on your phone instead of 3, so we're going to send these. They're sending all kinds of weapons up. They're weaponizing space. And they have their militaries now, which are geared towards and specializing in fighting aerial combat up in the upper regions of the atmosphere. Really, it's not really the upper regions, because when you understand the atmosphere actually goes up thousands of miles. Okay, it just gets very, very, very thin. Okay, it's very, very, very thin, but it's still part of the atmosphere. And it's usually thought of as being outer space, and almost never is it talked about as being part of the upper atmosphere, but it is. Okay, the upper atmosphere goes up thousands of miles. Usually once you get up past 100 miles, a couple of 100 miles or so, people usually generally regard that as outer space, but it's not. It's not outer space until you get up like around 5,000 or 6,000 miles. It's either miles or kilometers. You can look it up on Google. Okay, but the atmosphere goes up much, much further than you think. It just is so thin that when you get up there, it's like being in outer space, but you're still not in outer space yet. Okay, so they're getting ready to fight up there. Okay, that's why they have the Space Force. Maybe not that high. I don't think they're going to go up that high. Probably, I don't know. I'm not sure quite how far up they can get, but they're going to be fighting, up, at the limits of how far they can go up. They're going to fight Yahweh Shai and the angelic host there. Okay, and that's why I opened up with the Revelation 12. So People are freaking out now. Asmongold clips. Fair use notice is given. Fair use is allowed. Fair use notice is given. And that's why we're going to touch on that Revelation 12. I'm going to try to make that brief because I'm not really, I'm not focusing in on that. It's just that this is more end time biblical prophecies, letting you know that we're at the end of this world. World meaning age, or aeon in the Greek, which means an age or a kingdom. We're at the end of this age. We're at the end of this kingdom. And the age or kingdom to come is going to be completely, totally different in all manners and in all respects. That's why 1 Peter 4:7, of course, it says what it says. The end of all things is at hand. The end of all things pertaining to this age and this kingdom is at hand. And when we get to the next kingdom, it's going to be completely, I'm trying to stress that, man, totally different in every respect. Okay? Nothing's translating from this age and this kingdom into the next. Okay? Nothing's translating. Everything's going to be completely and totally different. The only thing that's going to translate from this kingdom to the next is the elect of the nation of Israel. And we even are going to be changed and glorified. Yahweh Ratazah be counted amongst and numbered. I do hope, trust, and believe I am. And then after that, you can say all of the nation of Israel, even those that don't make it, but they're going to have to be born into the kingdom. So really, it's really fitting to say the only thing that's going to translate, meaning go from this kingdom into the next, is the elect. Everything else is going to be destroyed. Everything else is going to be destroyed, subjugated, or refreshed. Okay, destroyed, subjugated, and or refreshed. Okay, it's not just going to go in. Okay, we are going to enter into the rest of our Father, enter into the rest of our power. Everything else is either going to be destroyed, and or subjugated and or refurbished. Okay, all right, refreshed. Okay, so let's get some commentary here.
Didn't see this.
Are aliens real?
They're real, but I haven't seen them, and
This is completely and totally scripted. I'll get them off of the crazy eyes.
they're not being kept.
Yeah, this is all completely and totally scripted. Okay, in other words, Obama wouldn't be saying this unless he was told to say this. Okay, everything that's being done is being done on purpose, and it's calculated, and it's intentional. It all is. It all is. That doesn't mean they don't make mistakes. They do make mistakes, but it's all intentional. Okay, he's saying this because he was told to say this, because it's time for them to say this, because the time is short. So if they're going to stay out ahead of the narrative, and if they're going to control the narrative on these quote unquote aliens, then it's time to do it now, because they know they don't have much time.
In what is it?
Area 51?
Area 51. There's no underground facility.
What was the first question you wanted answered when you became president?
Where are the aliens?
Another strong clue that this is absolutely scripted, and he's just saying what he was told to say. Which, that's nothing new for these presidents. They're all lackeys, flunkies. What's the word I'm looking for? Lackeys and flunkies works, but they're all puppets. Yeah. See, this is nothing new. This is the reason why a lot of times they like to use actors, people who have actually been actors. Okay, for example, Trump. You know, he was quote unquote reality TV. Well, you know that's scripted. Okay. He's an actor. He was an actor for a little bit. Okay, Ronald Reagan, one of the most highly regarded presidents of recent history. He was an actor. He was an actual legit actor. Okay, not just somebody who kind of came. You know, which Trump was acting, so he was doing some acting, right? But he just kind of stepped in and did some quote unquote light acting, as where he was basically acting himself. So that's kind of, you're acting, but it's light. Okay, it's very similar to what he's doing now as president. Right, but Ronald Reagan was an actual legit actor, you know, playing parts and roles and starring in movies and things like that. They like to use actors for that reason, because they already know what to do. They already know how to follow the script. They already know how to, you know, put on a front and act in a certain way, whether they feel that or not. Okay, this is a clue. You mean to tell me that you're the president of the United States, and the first thing you just couldn't wait to get in the office so you can find out if aliens are real? Man, that's a joke. Okay. It's either a joke or you making it obvious that you following a script, and it's the latter. They following the script. That makes it obvious. But there's more that's going to make it obvious.
Aliens.
That was it. And so then obviously,
Barack Obama said that aliens are real.
Now I'm going to show you how you know this is a script, and it links right up. These reporters who get into these positions to ask questions of these high-ranking public officials, they don't just get to go there. They're selected, and they're all juiced in. They're all vetted, and they're told what questions to ask. Okay? They're told, well, what about when they ask them a tough question? That's script. That's part of the script. But most of the time, they asking questions that aren't regarded as hard questions like that, and they're asking questions they were told to ask, and it's all part of the script. So you see how this question that he's being asked is linking up directly. It's going to link up directly to what Obama says, and it's going to further his response. What President DJ Trump says is going to further solidify what Obama said. Okay, so he's going to reprimand Obama and give you the impression that he's contradicting Obama, but he's actually confirming what Obama said. It's actually kind of poorly done. Okay, in other words, to me, it's obvious, is what I'm saying. They should have wrote it a little better.
Have you seen any evidence of non-human visitors to Earth?
Well, he gave classified information. He's asked.
That right there is a confirmation of what Obama said, and he led with that. Okay, so that's another clue that this is all scripted and set up. Why? Because they know they have a short time. Yeah, they know that Yahweh. They watch the chariots. They watch the chariot. They can see the chariots are always there. They can see the chariots. I see the chariots. Brothers see the chariots. We see the chariots all the time. They know that things are coming down to the wire. They know they don't have any more time to waste. So he just leads with that because he wants to make sure that that's in the people's minds. So while he's saying, I can't confirm that, I can't say they're not, but at the same time, he's saying that they are. Because if President Obama said that there are aliens exist, okay, which we're going to get into what they are, they're actually the angels of the Most High, okay? Aliens like what the world thinks, no, they don't exist. But what they call aliens, those are the angels of the Most High, the angels of the spiritual realm, okay? And the chariots, the chariots are everywhere. And they see the chariots. They know about the chariots. They monitor the chariots. But the chariots are only visible to them and known to them to the extent that the Most High wants it to be visible and known, okay? But, when he says that, he's confirming that what Obama said is true, while at the same time acting like he's not confirming it.
To be doing that.
he gave classified information. He's not supposed to be doing that.
So aliens are real.
Well, I don't know.
Look at the woman in the back smiling. They're all juiced in, okay? Is this a joke?
They're real or not, I can tell you.
I don't know if they're real or not, and he's smiling.
He gave classified information. He's not supposed to
He
be.
said that again. He gave classified information. Let's see how many times he said that. That's twice. How many times do you need to say that? Okay? Why is he saying that so much? He's saying that so much, and he's going to say it more, at least once more, I think twice more. We'll see. Okay? He's saying that because every time he says that, he's telling you, yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true. And he knows he's telling you, yeah, that's true. But he wants to tell you that it's true without telling you it's true. See? This is so Obama was told to say and do what he did, and Trump was told to say and do what he did afterwards so that the two can link up together. So he's actually confirming Obama.
He made a big mistake. He took it out of classified information.
3 times.
No, I don't have an opinion on it. I never talk about it.
I don't have an opinion on it. I never talk about it. I think there's a chance that there's aliens. Like, bro, we went from the Epstein files to the X files real quick.
The president can declassify anything that he wants to, so
Well,
if
maybe
you
I'll
want to
get him
make
out
an
of trouble.
announcement.
I may get him out of trouble by declassifying.
We know illegal aliens are real.
Yeah, illegal. Only illegals. What else? Well, he gave classified information.
Did he play it again? Or I can't tell if he played it again or he said it 4 times.
There's
But
aliens. Like, bro.
Even if he did, 3 times is enough. Okay, 3 times is enough to let you know that he really wanted to make sure that you knew it was classified information. Why? Because what he's saying is that it's true.
We went from the Epstein files to the X files real quick.
The president can declassify anything that he wants to, so if you want to make an announcement.
I may get him out of trouble by declassifying.
We know illegal aliens are real.
Yeah, that's another confirmation right there. I'll get him out of trouble by declassifying it, meaning it's true. However, I don't have this, man.
Illegal. Only illegals. What else? Well, he gave classified information. He's not supposed to be doing that.
Aliens, will they confirm alien?
Interest shown. I will be directing the secretary.
Yeah. See, they playing with the American population. Okay, that's why I said this is all a psychological OP, right? So that's all we needed, man. Let's get into this Revelation 12, because again, the reason why they have the Space Force. By the way, they call, what do they call the sailors? They call I just said they call the Navy. They call them sailors. Air Force, they call them airmen. Army called soldiers. Depending. Marine Corps, jarheads, grunts, depending. Right? What do they call the Space Force? Angels. Guardian angels, to be specific. Guardian angels, meaning they guard something. They guard something. What are the guardian angels guarding? The kingdom of Esau, Edom here on this earth. But keep in mind, they're called angels. Now, did anybody say, well, wait a minute, you can't call them angels? Y'all are flesh and blood. Now, everybody went with that. Everybody rocks with that. Okay? Revelation 12. I'm going to try not to get into this too deep. I'm going to give you the super secret decoder ring on verses 1 through 6, but we're going to dig in at 7 and 8. We get 9. We're going to have to touch on 10 because that makes a point, and we'll probably stop there. We're going to get 7, 8, 9, and 10. That's where we're going to dig in, but I'm going to give you the super secret decoder ring on 1 through 6. Okay. Like I said, I'm just here to show you that we're at the end of this age. We're at the end of the world. End time biblical prophecies are being fulfilled. Which ones, you ask? All of them. Okay. It says here, a woman clothed with the sun. This woman represents the nation of Israel. Okay. Clothed with the sun, wisdom, and the moon under her feet, knowledge. And of course, you got wisdom and knowledge. You're going to have understanding as well. And upon her head, a crown of 12 stars, one for each of the 12 tribes. Okay, and she being with child, okay, that child that she's with or pregnant with is Yahushua Mashiach. Okay, travailing in birth and pain to be delivered, because we were going through a very difficult time, which this touches on, right? Let me see here. We're not going to get that far down. Okay. Yeah, verse 13 touches on that. Let me see here. Yeah, verse 13 touches on that. I think did I say it right? 13? Salakia. Yeah. Let me see if any other verses. I thought there was more. No, that's going to be something different. Okay, verse 4 is touching on it as well. Okay, but anyway, let's see here. Yeah, and verse 2 also. Okay, and this is getting into how when Yahushua was born, who was that? Herod, right? Let me make sure I got my names right, because sometimes I'm not the best with names. Yeah, it was Herod. Yeah. So this is what it's talking about, because Herod was trying to slay the young Messiah, and when he was fooled, or when he was fooled and despised, because the wise men were warned in a dream to go a different way, and when he realized that they didn't basically do what he had told them to do, that's when he gave the order to slay all the male children 2 years old and younger. Right. So that's what that's getting into. Like I said, I'm not getting into it too deep. I just want to give you the code, because when it talks about these things, you need to know what it's talking about. And there appeared another wonder in heaven, and behold, a great red dragon. That great red dragon is the ancient Roman Empire, having 7 heads. Okay, because this is the ancient Roman Empire, but it's part of that ancient Roman Empire is part of a beast that represents, or one of the heads of the beast represents the ancient Roman Empire, and the beast in its entirety represents all the kingdoms and empires of the biblical Edomites spanning thousands of years. You had one head for the Germans. I said Germans, goodness gracious. One head for the Greeks, one head for the Romans, that's the ancient Romans, one head for the Germania Major, Germania Minor, another head, that's 2 different heads there, so that's 4 total. Then you had a head for the French, the Spanish, and the British, so that's 7 heads total. And then you got the 10 horns, right? And 7 crowns upon his heads. You can get more on this in Revelation 17. And his tail drew the 3rd part of the stars of heaven. The stars of heaven, going back up to the woman with a crown of 12 stars representing the 12 tribes. The stars of heaven is the Israelites. The Israelites, the sons of God. The Israelites. So it's drew the 3rd part, which would be the tribes of Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. And keep in mind that some of the northern kingdom was amongst Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. Okay, because you might say, well, wait a minute, that three is a quarter, not a third of 12. Well, keep in mind, some of the northern kingdom held fast to the southern kingdom and didn't go with the northern kingdom brethren. They stayed with the southern kingdom. So there was some northern kingdom amongst the southern kingdom as well. So that would be a reason why it would be a third and not a quarter. Okay, and all the tribes were not the same size either. Okay, so it's a 3rd part of the stars of heaven, which would be the Israelites that were in Judea at the time, the tribes of Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, and that includes the northern kingdom Israelites that had clung to the southern kingdom, whereas the bulk of the northern kingdom split off. Okay, and they cast him to the earth, and the dragon stood before the woman, which was ready to be delivered, for to devour her child as soon as it was born. Right, meaning he wanted to slay the Messiah Yahushua when he was born. Okay, and it says, and she brought forth a man child. That man child is Yahushua. Okay, to rule all nations with a rod of iron. Okay, Revelation 2:26 and 27, and also the 2nd Psalm. And a child was caught up into the Most High, into his throne. Yeah, he's seated on the right hand of the Father. Acts, the 1st chapter. And the woman fled into the wilderness, which is Africa. Okay, where she hath a place prepared of the Most High. Okay, that place being prepared is over here in America. Okay, all right, the place prepared is, I can say was, right, because this is all past tense now. This is all fulfilled. The place prepared was America, and the wilderness is Africa, that they should feed her there 1,203 score days. That's getting into 1,203 score days is 3.5 years. Okay, but that 3.5 years is metaphoric, and that's the reason why down here that 3.5 years is referred to as a time times and half a time. I must have missed it. Here it is. Okay, at the end of verse 14, it's saying the same thing. And to the woman were given 2 wings of a great eagle, that she might fly into the wilderness, into her place, where she is nourished for a time and times and half a time from the face of the serpent. So she's fleeing from the serpent into the wilderness, and then there's a place being prepared where, and then when she goes to that place, or is taken to that place, that's where she's going to be fed from the face of the serpent. Okay, so I know it's a little confusing, but we're not getting all into it, but I'm giving you the quick understanding. The woman is Israel, and the 2 wings was so that we can make haste in 70 AD and flee down into Africa. And while we were in Africa, America was being taken over by the Edomites, and then built up using the northern kingdom, and then they started to bring us over here from the west coast of Africa. They started to bring us over here to the Americas, which is the southern kingdom, and that's what it's talking about here when it says into the wilderness, which is Africa, and then into her place, which is America, and that's where we're nourished for a time and times and half a time from the face of the serpent, meaning the serpent had to take care of us here because we were his slaves. Okay, not going to be able to be good slaves if you're not feeding us and clothing us and giving us lodging. So he had to do those things, right? And so that's what this is talking about. But let's get back up to what we were getting into. And the woman, so yeah, I wanted to make that point. You see how these two verses 6 and 14 are similar. They both talk about going into the wilderness and being nourished, and they give a time period, right? A place prepared. Okay, it doesn't talk about being nourished here, but it does talk about the wilderness and a place prepared. They're talking about the same thing. Down there it says a time, times, and half a time. Here it says 1,203 score days. Those two periods of time are the same. You go to Revelation 11, when I'm not going to go there. Well, I might as well show you real quick. Okay, and it says here 40 and 2 months, and the holy city shall they tread underfoot 40 and 2 months. Okay, 40 and 2 months is what? 3.5 years. Okay, what's this 1,003? It's lucky I keep messing up. What's this 1,203 score days? That's also 3.5 years. So you got 3.5 years here, you got 3.5 years here. The 3.5 years here links up with the times and half a time here. And then you also over in Revelation 11, have further down in Revelation 11 and 11, 3 days and a half. Okay? And all of these periods of time are talking about the same period of time, which is 350 years, because all of these are metaphoric. That's the reason why you'll have different representations for this, talking about the same period of time, but it's different representations. One talks about days, another one talks about months, another one talks about, one talks about 3.5 days, one talks about 1,203 score days, another talks about 40 and 2 months, another talks about a time, times, and half a time. They're all talking about the same period of time, metaphorically. They're all talking about 350 years, okay? Which was about 1619 to 1969. All right, that's what it is. And so we're going to move on because I already got into it deeper than I intended to. Okay, but I just wanted to tell you how to understand this. The woman is Israel. The 12 stars represents the 12 tribes. The child that the woman was with is the Messiah. Was the Messiah, Yahushua. This is all fulfilled now. This is all in the books. Okay, the great red dragon is the ancient Roman Empire. Okay, the 7 heads and 10 horns. I told you the 7 heads are the empires. Represents the empires of Esau, Edom, spanning thousands of years. The Greeks, the Romans, Germania Major, Germania Minor, the French, the Spanish, and the British. And the third part of the stars of heaven were the Israelites in the land at the time, the tribes of Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, along with the northern kingdom Israelites that clung to them. And again, the man-child was Yahushua Mashiach. Okay, and was caught up into the Most High, seated on the right hand of the Father. Okay, the wilderness is Africa, and the place prepared is, or was, I should speak of it in the past tense, this is all fulfilled now, was America. The wilderness was Africa, the place prepared was America, and we're still there to this day. We're still here to this day. Okay, all the 1,203 score days and the times, and half a times are both talking about the same period of time, just right along with the 40 and 2 months and the 3.5 days in Revelation 11, all talking about the same period of time. So now let's dig into what we wanted to get into, and this is probably all we're going to get today, because just like, it's very hard to just touch on these things without getting into them. I intend to just touch on it, but it's not easy to do that. And there was war in heaven. First off, let me show you a few things here. Okay. Let's get a couple quick precepts. Let's go to Psalms 104 and 3. All right. Okay. And straight to the point. Okay. Verses 1 and 2 are beautiful, but let's get straight to the point. Who layeth the beams of his chambers in the waters. Salakia. I hit the wrong button there. Who layeth the beams of his chambers in the waters. Who maketh the clouds his chariot. So what this is telling you is that clouds, sometimes you think you're looking at the cloud, but you're looking at a chariot that is cloaked as a cloud. It's telling you that. Another thing he's telling you, let's finish the verse. Who walketh upon the wings of the wind. Another thing that this is telling you, it's not only telling you that sometimes the chariots, the vehicles of the spiritual realm, the vehicles of the fourth dimension, not only is it telling you that sometimes they cloak themselves as clouds, but it's also telling you that sometimes in the scriptures they are metaphorically referred to as clouds, whether they're cloaked or not. Even if you can plainly see that it's a chariot, or you will be able to, because it's a future prophecy, plainly see that it's a chariot, it still maybe a lot of the times is referred to as a cloud, metaphorically. Okay? The scriptures is full of metaphors and parables and dark sayings. The 78th Psalm, verses 1 and 2, points in 2. Okay? Who layeth the beams of his chambers in the waters, who maketh the clouds his chariot, who walketh upon the wings of the wind. So the chariots will cloak themselves oftentimes as clouds. But that's not the only thing they'll look like. They also look like stars. Like that star, the quote unquote North Star. All right. That they talk, everybody knows about the North Star, the star that was guiding the wise men. That was no literal star. It looked like a star, but it was a chariot. Okay, so they'll also cloak themselves to look like stars. They're also referred to as whirlwinds, and other things, wings. Okay, there's various different metaphors, but the most common one, I believe, is clouds. Okay, and they will cloak themselves as clouds, and they'll just simply be referred to metaphorically as clouds, whether or not they're cloaked. Even if you can plainly see it, or will be able to plainly see it, it'll be referred to in the scriptures as a cloud. Okay. Another quick precept, just to touch on it. Ezekiel, the first chapter. Okay. And this is getting into angels and angels that are piloting chariots. But I just want to read it to you here. It's describing the angels here. And now it gets into their wheels. Let's read verse 16. Okay, now I'm just going to touch on this. I'm just trying to see what I want to read. Yeah. I'm not going to read too much. Let me just get 16 and 17. We'll get out of here. We'll get one more precept showing you about the actually two more precepts showing you about the chariots in the scriptures referred to as clouds, and then we'll get into that 7, 8, 9, and 10. The appearance of the wheels, okay, the vehicles, Marakabium, that the angels were in, and their work was like unto the color of a beryl, and they four had one likeness, and their appearance and their work was as it were a wheel in the middle of a wheel. And when you see the prototypical, stereotypical UFO, that's what it looks like. And that's why you'll see the lights on the outside of the UFO rotating in one direction, let's say counterclockwise, but then you'll see in the interior, there'll be another wheel or circle for lack of a better way to put it, a circle rotating in the other direction. So you have a wheel in the middle of the wheel. Another representation of that, where you will actually just have hollow wheels, and you'll have one hollow wheel on the outside and the hollow wheel on the inside. Esau shows you UFO representations similar to that. So you see both kinds, and you see other kinds as well. Okay, cubes, triangles, pyramids, glowing orbs. Okay, these are supernatural spiritual vehicles. They're not bound by any laws of physics. Okay, they can change shape, they can morph, they can turn invisible, they can go from outer space to the atmosphere, underwater, seamlessly, with no drag or no change in nothing, man. They just see these vehicles right here are otherworldly. They can change size. Okay, they can do, practically anything. Okay. So, but I'm just showing you here that that's what this is talking about. And Esau shows you various different representations of the chariots in his pop culture and in his movies, okay? Because he does keep an eye on the chariots, right? So let's get a little bit more here. Let's go to another example of a chariot, which is being metaphorically referred to as a cloud. There's two occasions here, and I can't remember where they're at, so I'm going to search for them. But it's when Yahushua was baptized, and then also on the Mount of Transfiguration. Okay, let me see here. Actually, one of them should be, let me see here. Yep, one of them's going to be here. Matthew 3:16. Let's see. Well, this one here doesn't give you that detail. It just says, "Lo, the heavens opened unto him," and it just says a voice from heaven. It doesn't tell you that it was a cloud. So let's get the one where it says where it does say that it was a cloud. And bear with me here. And Salakia, I'm trying to get this thing to work so I can search for it, and it's giving me a hard time. Man, it's never given me this much trouble. There it is. Okay. Okay. Let's see here. Matthew 17:5. But what I want to know is, it's more than just that. I'm pretty sure. That one's going to get the job done, but I'm pretty sure it's more than just that. Let me see here. Maybe I should search for something else. Let me see what this brings up. Bear with me while I, satisfy my curiosity. Baba Kusha. Let's see here. Yep. And let me see if there's an answer to. Let me see. Maybe that's. Yeah. Mark. Okay, it doesn't say bright. That's why. See, this cloud, you see there in Mark 9:7, and we'll also get the Matthew 17:5. And there was a cloud that overshadowed them. This was a chariot that was cloaked as a cloud. It was not an actual cloud. It looked like an actual cloud, but it was a chariot, a vehicle. The Hebrew word for chariot is marakab, and it literally means a vehicle. I am in marakab Yah right now. I am in marakab vehicle Yah, my vehicle right now. It literally means vehicle. Okay. There was a cloud, okay, that overshadowed them. It was a chariot, a vehicle of the spiritual realm. And a voice came out of the cloud saying, "This is my beloved son. Hear him." Hear him. All right. Now, we don't know for sure whether it was the Most High himself or whether it was an angel there and the Most High was speaking through the angel. I'm of the mind that I think the Most High actually came and got in his chariot and came for Yahushua's baptism and on the Mount of Transfiguration. I think the Most High personally came for those two things, right? But we don't know for sure. He could have been speaking through an angel. I'm of the mind that he actually came for those two things. Okay, but the point is that this was no literal cloud. Okay, and in Matthew 17:5, it actually tells you that it was bright. While he yet spake, behold, a bright cloud. So this cloud right here, when you looked at it, it didn't look like the other clouds. It was bright. So that was a clue that this was no regular cloud. And why was it no regular cloud? Because it was a chariot. A bright cloud, and this also highlights the importance of getting the precepts, because you get here a little and there a little. So when you get the precepts and you get a little from over here and a little from over there and a little from over there and a little from over here, and you compare spiritual things to spiritual things and you put it all together, then you get the complete picture. While he yet spake, behold, a bright cloud overshadowed them. And behold, a voice out of the cloud, which said, "This is my beloved son, in whom I am well pleased. Hear ye him." See, so this was no literal cloud. This was a vehicle of the spiritual realm, a vehicle of the fourth dimension. Let's get one more. Revelation 1:7. Behold, he, referring to Yahweh Shah HaMashiach, cometh with clouds. He's not Puff the Magic Dragon. He's not Casper the Friendly Ghost. He's not coming with no literal clouds. This is talking about a massive, massive, massive number of angels, and each of those angels are in chariots as well. He's going to be in the largest chariot, a chariot so big, a vehicle so big, it's Esdras, when he saw the vision, the prophecy, the prophetic vision, he mistook Yahweh Shai's vehicle, chariot, he mistook it for a mountain. That's how large it was, or large it is and will be when it comes. And then you also going to have I think it's safe to say an innumerable host of angels, each of them in their own chariots as well. Behold, he cometh with clouds, and every eye shall see him, and they also which pierced him, and all kindreds of the earth shall wail because of him, even so Amen. So these clouds are not literal clouds. These are the vehicles of the spiritual realm. These are the UFOs and the UAPs that has Esau, Edom, all concerned. Okay, that's why they have the Space Force. That's why Trump established the Space Force in his first term. They're getting ready to fight Yahweh Shai and the angelic host when they come back very shortly. That's why they have the Department of Defense. The Department of Defense has established a new UFO UAP task force because they know they have to get ready to defend their kingdom, because Yahweh Shai and the angelic host is coming back. And they're going to tell the world the lie that they're angels, little green men from Mars, or big green men from Mars, or little green men from whatever planet, or big green men from whatever planet, or just aliens from what do they call them, xenomorphs or whatever, from the Alien movie series, whatever. They're going to say whatever they want, whatever version of alien they decide, but they're saying that to control the narrative, and so that people don't know the truth. The truth is who the world ignorantly and incorrectly calls Jesus Christ and the angels. That's who's coming back. So could you say they're extraterrestrial? Yeah, you could say that, right? But if you say aliens, that's very misleading, because the world has been preconditioned to think of aliens based off of what's been seen in movies in Hollywood. And it's not that at all. It's Yahweh Shai, who the world ignorantly and incorrectly calls Jesus Christ, and the angelic host. That's who's coming, and they're coming back in clouds, which are the chariots, the vehicles of the fourth dimension. So now, Revelation 12. Okay, I already gave you the decoder ring on verses 1 through 6, and there was war in heaven. I told you, verses 1 through 6, that's history. That's in the books. When it gets to verse 7, that's a shift in time. This is in the future. And that's why it's important to get verse 10, line upon line, precept upon precept. Okay? Verse 10 lets you know that this is in the future. Okay? Verse 10 lets you know that this is in the future, because whatever's happening in verses 7, 8, and 9 is directly linked to salvation. It's directly linked to the kingdom of heaven. See that? Now is come salvation. So salvation is coming at the same time that whatever happens in verse 7, 8, and 9, whatever, right at that same time, that's linked with salvation, because it says now is come salvation and strength and the kingdom of our power. See? And the power of his Mashiach. See, so salvation, the kingdom of heaven, and Hamashiach, Mashiach Yahweh Shai, getting his glory here on this earth, is all directly linked with verses 7, 8, and 9. That's how you know this is future. Okay? And I'm not gonna fully break it down, but this idea of a war in heaven is absolutely, completely, and totally stupid and illogical. I'm talking about the pagan Christian idea where the spiritual demon Satan snuck around behind the Most High's back, as if the Most High is not omniscient and all powerful, and convinced 1/3 of the angelic hosts to be absolutely, completely, and totally stupid and think they can come up against the Most High, who's all powerful. What? Are the angels stupid, man? It's Hashatan stupid. Hashatan's not stupid, man. Hashatan is extremely intelligent. And Hashatan is in perfect order with the Most High. There's so many holes in that false pagan doctrine, and I'm not going to get into it right now. I just want to give you 7, 8, 9, and 10, and we're going to wrap it, okay? But I've beat that up. That's a punching bag, okay? That dumbass doctrine, man. That's a punching bag doctrine, okay? Really, all of them are, but that's a real fun punching bag. That's a weeble wobble, man. You can go to town on that doctrine. Anyway, and there was war in heaven. This heaven. Let's look up the word heaven. Oh, that means in the boat of the Most High. That's the spiritual realm. Let's look the word up. And there was war in heaven. Let's see what the first definition is. It must be the spiritual realm. It must be where the angels and the Most High and all that. It must be the spiritual realm, right? The vaulted expanse of the sky. What? The sky with all things visible in it. So the first definition they tell you for heaven is the sky. Okay. Oh man, this is easy. The universe, the world. Okay, none of that has anything to do with the spiritual realm. Okay. The aerial heavens or sky. The region where the clouds and the tempests gather and where thunder and lightnings are produced. It seems like to me that this is saying that this war in heaven might be taking place in the sky. Yeah. Okay. And then the second definition, that's the one that's really talking about the spiritual realm. Okay. Where the Most High dwells in other heavenly beings. But that's not the first one. That's the second one, which means what? The first one is first because it's used most often. Okay? It's used most often. So when you see this heaven, it's telling you right off the bat, that's not necessarily talking about the spiritual realm. It might be, it might not be. It might be talking about the sky. And more often than not, most of the time, most likely it's talking about the sky. And there was war in heaven. Okay? And then the number one definition for heaven is the sky. I wonder if it's that one, though. I still think it might be the other one. I think it might be still the spiritual realm, though. And then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven. And then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn, and they shall see the Son of Man, Yahushua, coming in the clouds, the chariots of heaven with power and great glory. That heaven there is the spiritual realm, because there's 4 heavens, 1 metaphoric, which is rulership, and then 3 literal. The highest heaven is the spiritual realm. The second heaven is this outer space, and the third heaven, or the lowest heaven, is the sky, the atmosphere. Okay, so that one right there is the spiritual realm. These are spiritual vehicles, spiritual chariots. Okay, and he shall send his angels. So he's not coming alone. He's not coming alone. He's coming with the angels, and with a great sound of a trumpet. With a great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect from the 4 winds, from one end of heaven to the other, east, north, south, and west. That's your 4 winds. Okay? So Yahushua is coming back, and he's not coming back alone. And he's coming back in the clouds of heaven with clouds, plural. Okay? And he's going to have he's going to have the angels of heaven with him, the hosts of heaven with him. And Daniel 12:1. Precept upon precept, man. This is the importance of getting the precepts. You get the understanding through the precepts. If you don't have the precepts, then you don't have understanding. Malak Dawadah said that. Through thy precepts I get understanding, therefore I hate every false way. And at that time, is that, what's that, 119th Psalm, I think? Either 119th or the 18th. Let me get it. Let me refresh my memory. I think it's 119. I'm pretty sure. And here. Yep. And 104. Through thy precepts I get understanding, therefore I hate every false way. So you get the understanding by having the precepts. And if you don't have the precepts, you don't have the understanding. And if you don't have the understanding, what are you going to do? You're going to love the false way. So if you don't want to love the false way, get the understanding. How are you going to get it? Through the precepts. Thy word is a lamp unto my feet and a light unto my path. Okay. So back over here. And at that time, the time of Jacob's trouble, Tezoriah Iquab, shall Michael stand up. Michael's coming. the great prince which standeth for the children of thy people. Michael, the great archangel, the top archangel Michael, is coming back with Yahushai. And there shall be a time of trouble, Tazora Yaakov, Jacob trouble, such as never was since there was a nation, even to that same time. And at that time, thy people shall be delivered. So this is during the time of deliverance and salvation. Okay? So is there going to be deliverance and salvation without the Savior? Without Yahushai? Of course not. Yahushai is the deliverer. He is the Savior, not Michael. Michael's coming back with the Savior. So when the Savior, Yahushua, comes back, Michael's going to be with him amongst those angels. Okay? Everyone that shall be found written in the book. And when they come back, they're going to crack the sky. Okay? We were reading something the other day, last night, or the night before, and I forget what it was. But we got a precept in the Apocrypha that says one realm against another, and then we read another precept where it said the heavens were open, right? That sounds like a portal opening up. Oh, that's what it was. Somebody had a dream and a vision, and they were saying in their dream and their vision that they saw the Most High in heaven, and he stretched forth his sword. I played it last night in the previous part 18, I think it was, and he stretched forth his sword. And then he brought it back, the Most High did, and he saw this in his vision, and then he stretched it forth again, and like thousands and thousands and thousands of angels showed up. And then he stretched forth his sword again, and a portal opened up in the spiritual realm in heaven. And all the angels rushed through the portal, headed towards earth. Okay? And I saw heaven open up, and that's exactly what that sounds like. It sounds like a portal opening up, so that the angels from the spiritual realm can exit the portal and come to the earth with Yahushai to deliver the elect and wage war in righteousness. That's what it sounds like. And he saw that vision. That's Acts 2, 17, 18, 19, Joel 2, 28, 29, 30. Okay, so Michael's coming back too. He's going to be amongst them. And this is directly linked with the time of salvation. And at that time, that people should be delivered. Everyone that should be found written in the book. So during deliverance and salvation, you ain't going to have that without Yahushai. So Yahushai is here first and foremost, but Michael's going to be with him. And it's not just going to be Michael. We got that in Matthew 24, 29, and 30, and 31, that there's going to be a lot of angels with him. So we take that understanding back to Revelation 12 and 7. Keeping in mind that the number one top definition of heaven is the sky. And now that we know that Yahushai, that Michael's coming back with Yahushai, and he's not going to be alone. He's going to have a lot of angels with him, and these Michael and the angels are going to be with Yahushai, and that's during the time of deliverance and salvation. And the number one definition for heaven is the sky. Now, with all of that in mind, now let's read this. And there was war in heaven. Let's put sky there. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon. The dragon, I told you up here, the dragon was the great red dragon, is the ancient Roman Empire. This dragon is the revived Roman Empire. Okay? The revived Roman Empire which is the kingdom of Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, generally speaking, which the capital city is America. Okay? So in other words, this dragon here is talking about the so-called white man. Okay? His kingdom. Okay? Fought against the Edomites, and the dragon fought in his angels. There's no such thing as a coincidence. His guardian angels, you could say that, his angels, which these angels are not spiritual beings. Look the word up, and it tells you that angels simply means messengers. Okay? A messenger. You give somebody a message to deliver, you can call them an angel. Messenger, angel, synonymous. Envoy, one who is sent. Well, Esau, Edom is going to send out those Space Force personnel. And it's not just going to be the U.S. Space Force. You got some of these other heathen nations that have Space Force fighting capabilities as well, and they're going to join. They're going to join. Reagan said so. He said so like 3 or 4 different times. 3 or 4 different times. If there wasn't an invasion of an alien force, would we not all come together and forget our differences and fight the outside invading force? That's conditioning, okay? Because he knows that that's what's coming, right? He knows that's what's coming. They knew that's what's coming, and they were conditioning everybody for it. And he said that like 3 or 4 different times. Why is it so important to keep saying that? Okay, it's conditioning. Okay, preconditioning. And that's exactly what's going to happen, though, because some of these other heathen nations have Space Force fighting capabilities as well, and they're going to join. Okay, and when Esau and these other nations send their Space Force fighters to meet and greet Yahushua and the angels, they are sending them. That makes them angels, a messenger. They are being sent, one who is sent. So when Esau sends his Space Force and these other nations send their Space Forces, they are sending them. That means they are angels. They are messengers. And they got a message for Yahushua and the angelic host. And the message is, you're not welcome here. Okay? In fact, just to drive that point home a little further, the prophet Malachi, in the ancient Paleo Hebrew, you would pronounce his name Malaakiah. Malaakiah. And his name literally means messenger or angel of God, of the Most High, Yahweh. Okay? Because messenger and angel are synonymous. You can say messenger, you can say angel. Okay? The same word is behind the same Hebrew word is behind both of those English words oftentimes. The same English word has been translated to both angel and messenger. Okay? And you see here, same thing, even here, with this word here, angelos. It's been translated to angel 179 times, but it's also been translated to messenger 7 times. Okay? So, and there was war in heaven, the sky. Michael, this is in the future. There was a time jump between 6 and 7, not the same time frames. Okay? And there was war in heaven. Verses 1 through 6 are in the books. Verse 7 through 12, verses 7 through 12. Yeah, verses 7 through 12 are still in front of us, but not very far in front of us. This is about to happen. That's the reason why they're giving you this disclosure. That's the reason why they're doing all this, because they're getting ready for that war in heaven. And I heard, Slakia. And there was war in heaven, Michael and his angels, which are all going to be with Yahushua, under Yahushua's authority, because Yahushua is coming back because he is the deliverer. So they're coming with him. Fought against the dragon, Esau, Edom, the revived Roman Empire, and the dragon fought and his angels. Yeah, his fighter pilots. And prevailed not. They're going to lose miserably, grossly, utterly, gruesomely. Neither was their place found any more in heaven, because when Yahushua is coming back to take them out of rulership and basically put them at the bottom. Okay? But also, once that war in heaven takes place, all of their fighter jets, all of their capabilities to wage war in the atmosphere and in the sky is going to be destroyed. Their satellites, their fighter jets, everything is all going to be destroyed. They ain't going back up into the sky to wage any more war after that. It's going to be a complete and total wipeout. Okay? And prevailed not, neither was their place found any more in heaven. And the great dragon, okay, was cast out. That old serpent. Why is it an old serpent? Because this is the same serpent from the garden. Started off the book as a little serpent in the garden, and now here at the end of the book, he's a great dragon, meaning that his king, he's gone from being a serpent where he didn't have any rulership to now at the end he's ruling the whole world, and he's gorged and feasted himself on the fatness of the earth and the dew of heaven from above. So now that serpent, that old serpent, has grown at the end to a great dragon. Okay, because now he has a worldwide rulership under the revived Roman Empire. Okay. That's what it's talking about. Called the devil. That they shouldn't have capitalized that. I'm going to show you that it's not talking about. That's something you first got to realize. When you see devil and Satan, you got to realize that it's not always talking about a flesh and blood man. Diabolos, I'm going to get straight to the point, metaphorically applied to a man. Okay? And it's not metaphoric, it's literal. Because the word simply means someone who's prone to slander, slanderous, accusing falsely. Men do that. A calumniator, false accuser, slanderer. Men do that. So it's nothing metaphoric about it. drop the metaphoric, apply it to a man who, by opposing the cause of the Most High, well, in righteousness, he opposes the Most High's, he's set up to oppose righteousness. He's actually doing what he's created to do. Proverbs 16:4. May be said to act the part of the devil because he is the devil, or to side with the spiritual demon Satan. I enhanced the definition to make it more correct. Okay, this gets you started though. It at least lets you know that sometimes it's talking about men and not spiritual beings. Okay, matter of fact, there's nothing in here anywhere to say that this is there's nothing in here anywhere in this definition to say that this is talking about a spiritual being. Okay, because the word just simply means a false accuser or a slanderer, a deceiver, a calumniator. Okay, but people see devil and they it doesn't even enter their mind that it's talking about a flesh and blood man. You say, well, yeah, but what about Satan? Same thing. That's even more cut and dry. Greek word satanas. Okay, you got to scroll down past all that, but look, there it is. Boom, a Satan-like man. Sometimes you see it, it's talking about the spiritual demon Satan. Sometimes you see it, it's talking about a flesh and blood man here on the earth, or men. And those men would be the physical counterpart of the spiritual demon Satan here on earth, which is the Edomites. Okay. Now, I just lost my thought. Okay, let me continue on. So when it says, and the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil. This is the biblical Edomites. And in current times, this is the revived Roman Empire, the kingdom of Esau, Edom, and Satan, talking about the Edomites, which deceiveth the whole world. Revelation, the 20th chapter. You go over there and it talks about Satan being bound for 1,000 years. That also is the Edomites. That's not the spiritual demon Satan. You always got to make sure you know which it's talking about. Satan simply means adversary. The name of the spiritual demon Satan, translated to English, is the adversary. His name is adversary. But so when you understand that and keep that in mind, it shouldn't be too difficult to understand that that word adversary, which is the name of the spiritual demon Satan, will be used with regards to, or in reference to, flesh and blood men. Okay? So the Satan over in Revelation 20 is the Edomites. Satan here in Revelation 12 is the Edomites. Neither is the spiritual demon Satan. Okay? He was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him. And again, we got that 10 just to show you that this, all of that we read in 7, 8, and 9 is directly linked with salvation and the kingdom of heaven, which is all end time biblical prophecy. So how could this have already happened? It didn't, and it makes no sense. If there was a literal war in heaven, okay, I already told you, I already made the point of how stupid that is, and the angels and the angels and Hashatan are not so stupid to think that they could ever come up against the Most High. Okay, that would just be dumb. The Most High is all powerful and he's omnipotent and omniscient. He knows everything and he's all powerful. How is anyone or anything or any whatever going to come up against the Most High? Get all the angels. Get them all. Come up against the Most High. What is it? What is it to the Most High? Okay, bring in Floyd Mayweather. Easy work. Okay, and the angels are powerful, especially the archangels. And you know, hey man, look. Yahweh Shai told you that the Father is greater than He is. Okay, the Most High against anything and everything, and anyone and everyone all together is easy work, no contest. Okay, they're not stupid like that. Furthermore, they would never transgress the Father. Never. They delight to do His will, the scripture tells us. Never would they transgress the Father. Furthermore, if let's just go with the scenario that there was a war in heaven already, okay, the abode of the Most High. When did it happen? Okay, and no matter what answer you give, you bust it. If you say, I'm gonna give you two choices. It had to either be before the fall, before Adam sinned, or after Adam sinned. It had to be one of those two. And no matter what answer you give, you're busted. Because if you say that it was before Adam fell, the war in heaven took place before Adam fell, and it says there was no place found for them in heaven, and you thinking that heaven's talking about the spiritual realm, well, then what is Hashatan doing up in the spiritual realm, talking with the Most High in Job, the 1st chapter, and Job, the 2nd chapter? Explain that. What's Hashatan doing up there? He got kicked out, and there was no more place found for him in heaven. Okay? What's going on? And then if you say it was after, and then if you say, so that's busted right there. And then if you say it was after the fall, okay? If you say it was after the fall, so in other words, when Adam sinned, and you think that the serpent in the garden was a literal snake possessed by the spiritual demon Satan, this is all absurd, man. But if you say it was after the fall, then that means that the spiritual demon Satan is supposed to still be in order. He hasn't gone off yet. When Adam fell, and if he hasn't gone off yet when Adam fell, then how did he do what he did in the garden, and the Most High didn't catch that? Okay, spiritual demon Satan's supposed to still be in order, doing what he's supposed to do, because he hasn't tried to set up a coup against the Most High yet. So he's supposed to still be in order, but yet and still he's leading Adam and Eve into wickedness, and the Most High just missed that. See, so no matter which way you go with that, it doesn't make any sense. If you say it was before, then what's he doing in Job 1 and 2 still up in the spiritual realm in the abode of the Most High in heaven? If you say it was after, then how did the Most High not catch what Satan was doing in the garden? Right? Which it wasn't the spiritual demon Satan in the garden. The serpent was a flesh and blood man, metaphorically referred to as a serpent. And actually, he was the progenitor, the forefather of the nation that would later be known as the biblical Edomites. That's who he was. It was Esau before, it was Cain before he was, let me see how I want to put it. The serpent in the garden was Esau before he was Cain. Because the serpent in the garden, reincarnation is biblical, man. The serpent in the garden came back in the reincarnation as Cain, and then when he was wiped out, I think he died before the flood, but then he came back after the flood as Esau. So Esau was Cain, and Esau was Cain before he was Esau, and before he was Cain, he was the serpent. Okay, the serpent, Cain, and Esau are all the same man, same spirit, different flesh though, but same spirit, same man. Okay. So this is all out in the future. When I say future, I don't mean distant future. I mean very, very near future. Okay? The angels, the aliens are not aliens as Hollywood portrays them. The angels, Salaki, I'm tired. I keep getting my words mixed up. The aliens are not what Hollywood presents them to be. The aliens that they're talking about are actually the angels of the spiritual realm. That's what the aliens are. They're not aliens. They're the angels. They're Yahweh and the angels are coming back, and they're going to slap the label of aliens on them, and then they're going to go to war against them, and they're going to lose miserably, and then they're going to come down and they're going to persecute. They're going to run naked to the finish line. They're going to ramp Tazariah Iquap all the way up. Okay, push the Revelation 13 verses 16 to 18, and it's all going to be for naught, because Yahweh Shah HaMashiach and the angelic hosts are going to wage war in righteousness and simultaneously deliver the elect. And while they're doing that, thermonuclear missiles are going to be flying through the sky, destroying the kingdom of Esau, Edom, and the kingdoms of all the other heathen nations as well. This is what's going to happen. Okay, and going to utterly and totally burn and destroy and burn America, Babylon the Great, with thermonuclear fire, and the land of Israel. Okay, and we're going to establish the kingdom of heaven, which is a kingdom, an age, a world without end. Okay, the aliens are the angels. They're not aliens. They're the angels. Okay, and the war in heaven is about to take place. Okay, and yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Revelation 12. Down to verse 10. I think that's sufficient for tonight. Let me see here. Yeah. So When we come back next time, we're going to get back into into Genesis, the 27th chapter, because all these things that are being done are Esau Edom's attempt, his vain attempt to get back his blessing that he lost in Genesis, the 27th chapter. But it's never, ever, ever going to work. It's doomed. It was doomed from the beginning. Even in the beginning, when they were born, Esau was born first. So Esau was supposed to get the birthright. The birthright was going to Esau. The blessing was going to Esau. But it was doomed from the beginning for Esau. It was never going to be that way. And it was never going to be that way because the Most High had already told Rebekah that the elder shall serve the younger. The Most High had already determined that the elder was not going to get it, although it was his on paper. It was going to him, okay, but it was never going to stay that way. And the Most High told Rebekah that. Okay, so up until Esau sold his birthright for a bowl of bloody stew, it was going to him. But he was never going to keep it because he was always going to do something to give it up. And he sold it. Okay? Something as valuable and precious and valuable as your birthright, he sold it for a bowl of bloody stew. Okay? Showing you he didn't give a damn about it. Showing you that to him it was worthless. Worthless. Now, he did care about the blessing, though. Okay? And so he didn't sell that. But he lost it. Because the Most High had already told Rebekah what was going to happen, and Rebekah believed it, and the Most High put the spirit on her to do what she did and convince Jacob, and then Jacob and her deceived Isaac. If a prophet be deceived, I, Yahweh, have deceived that prophet. The Most High was behind all this, and the Most High could have stopped it. Most High could even want to stop. This was the Most High's plan. This was the Most High's will. That's why it went that way. There's no other way Isaac could have been deceived. Isaac, when you understand the reincarnation, Isaac is Yahweh Shai. Okay, a greater than the prophet, the greatest prophet, a king of prophets. Okay, so there's no way for Isaac to be deceived like that except the Most High do it. If a prophet be deceived, I Yahweh have deceived that prophet. The scripture says. What is that? I think that's Ezekiel 14. Like 12. 9. No. Let me see here. Oh, yeah, 9. I thought it said something else. And if the prophet be deceived when he has spoken a thing, I, Yahweh, have deceived that prophet. Right? Now, the context here is not fully applicable because Isaac was not going off and he wasn't going to be destroyed about that. But the point is that if a prophet's deceived, the Most High deceives the prophet. Okay, and Isaac was deceived because the Most High was behind all that. The Most High was behind all that because this was the chosen way that the Most High set it up for the blessing to go to Jacob and to be taken from Esau, because that was his determination from the beginning. It was never, yes, it was going to Esau up until the point. The birthright was going to Esau up until the point that he sold it, and the blessing was going to Esau up until the point that Jacob supplanted him for it. But the Most High was behind both of those things because that's all the will of the Most High. It was never going to stay the way it was at birth. The Most High had already spoken it. Okay, so everything that's happening on planet Earth, everything that's going on planet Earth, including the alien, quote unquote, alien disclosure, which is again the angels of the spiritual realm. Okay, including the march to the full intensification of the Third World War. Okay, including the collapse of the economy, including these pestilences that are being released, including all of it. Okay, it's so much going on. I can't even think of it all, including all of it. All these great miseries, all these psyops, all this everything. It's all being done intentionally by the biblical Edomites. Proverbs 16:4. They're making they're earning their keep in this evil day. Is being done by them to get their blessing back. Because while Esau didn't give a damn about the birthright, it was worthless to him. Although it's extremely valuable and precious, to him it was worthless. He did care about the blessing, and he lost that. Okay, and really the blessing and the birthright are linked. See, and the Most High had already determined that both were going to go to Jacob. So that's what's all going on. Okay, and they're going to fail miserably, and they're going into the most hardcore, brutal captivity and slavery ever. They're going to take that title from us, because right now we have the most hardcore and brutal captivity and slavery. Daniel 9:12. And he hath confirmed his words, our Father Yahweh, which he spake against us and against our judges that judged us, by bringing upon us, the nation of Israel, a great evil. For under the whole heaven have not been done as hath been done upon Yerushalayim. So who has the title for the worst captivity and the worst slavery and the worst affliction right now? Well, that would be us, the Israelites. But Esau, Edom's getting ready to take that. He's getting ready to take that title and run with it. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up there. And before I do, I want to give all glory, honor, and praises to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shabbat, Rachak Wadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders, a great millstone. Much peace, love, and respect to the brothers teaching, pushing this truth out the four corners of the earth. Adonai Radazaz, that's what's edifying and encouraging to you, Achim, and any Achwaf that may be listening and or watching. Ayashmi Akwana, Azanim Lashamai Shemai. Let him who has ears to hear, hear. Kwam Yasharala, Baba Kosha, Abai Baba Etha, Wakal Adawam. Shalom Lahabachayim, peace to the elect. Shalom.